Peaceful, 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 peace. Peaceful, 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 peace.
Who is better in speech than one who invites to the way of thy Lord, works righteousness and saves the Ravis?
Peaceful, 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 peace. Peaceful, 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 peace.
Since the musical instruments are haram, a human being imitating the haram musical instrument, according to scholars, is also haram.
Peaceful, peaceful, peace. Peaceful, 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 peace. Peaceful, 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 peace.
The next question. Mannan Ahmad Sheikh from Kashmir, India. There is a very popular video game known as PUBG, P-U-B-G, that is spreading all over the world. And it has nowadays become an addiction to all people, that everyone plays it continuously every day. Everyone plays it continuously every day. MashaAllah. Recently, the new updated version of this video game came out, in which a person has to glorify idols in the game to gain weapons and power. Is it haram or shirk to play this kind of game, or is it okay if any Muslim plays this kind of game in which we have to glorify idols? A similar question is posed by Abdullah from New Jersey, USA. Is it permissible to play video games? I would first answer the second question and then answer the first question. As far as video games are concerned, there is a revolution in the past few years and past few decades. I remember when I was a teenager, maybe about 35 years back, there were video game parlors where we had to pay some money and we could, for a few minutes, maybe drive a car. So those sort of video games which were there 30, 35 years back, not that I was a fan of video games, but I did play a few times in my life. So those are games which is for entertainment, and I feel there is no problem at all. But in the passage of time, today we find that there is a revolution and there's a lot of changes that have come. And when you read articles about the video games, unfortunately, most of these video games, they are haram. The reason is that many of these video games, they are mixed with elements which are prohibited in Islam. I'll give you a few examples. For example, there are video games in which there is a lot of killing. And the more number of people you kill, the more marks you get and you become a winner. Some of the killing, the unnecessary, it's murder. And murder in Islam, killing any innocent human being, is the second major sin in Islam. There are some video games which glorify witchcraft, which is the third major sin in Islam. There are some video games which are attacking Islam. And the video game says that if you bomb Makkah, then you get 1,000 points. If you bomb Medina, then you get 500 points. And there are some games which show that there is a non-Muslim country fighting with a Muslim country, and the Muslim country is normally the weaker country, and if you defeat the Muslim country, you win the game. So these sorts of games which are belittling Islam and are criticizing Islam and against the principle of Islam, all these are haram. There are many video games in which there is nudity. Today, if you have most of the car racing game, I'm told, I read articles, in between you will find ladies coming which are not properly dressed. They come in bikini, they come in scantily dressed clothes, bodies more seen, all this is haram. There is nudity, there is obscenity. Even in sports you find obscenity. Invariably not there just to make the game more popular. You have games in which there is gambling. You have games in which there is drinking of alcohol. So all these things are haram. Even though you may not be drinking yourself physically, but virtually, if it is involving a haram activity, that game is haram. It takes the children away from Islam. And unfortunately, there are many Muslim parents who willingly buy such games for the children. They don't scrutinize whether the game is right or wrong. They say, oh, bacha hai, kid hai, what's the problem? He's not drinking. What's the problem? He's not killing anyone. That's just in a game. These parents are actually taking the children away from Islam. They are ruining their life. If anyone will be responsible, it's not the child, it's the parents. And today, if they want to get rid of the child or they want to keep the child quiet, they give them the mobile phone. So that, the child is busy with the mobile phone and the parents can do what they want, they can do their work on the social media. And what's happening? They give mobile phone to a small child of 4 years, 5 years. Happy, my child can operate the mobile. You are ruining your child. What is so great in handling a mobile? When he grows up, when required, he'll easily know how to use it. Why give a mobile phone to a child and let him play these video games, most of which are haram? So if you analyze today's video games, majority, they are involved. Most of them have got music. The music is haram in Islam. They have got such sound effects. So most of these games, if you analyze and if you scrutinize, majority, maybe more than 80%, more than 90%, or maybe a larger number, I haven't done a survey, but reading the reports, they will lead to haram activities directly or indirectly. So such games surely should be prohibited and you should try and keep your children away from them. As far as the first question was posed regarding a game called PUBG, the full form of PUBG is Player Unknown Battleground. Many people who play the game may not be knowing the full form. Anyway, I don't play this game. I just did because of the news that for the last couple of weeks, a lot of news has been coming regarding this PUBG. So I just went and checked up the background. This game is one of the most popular games in the world today. It was launched in March 2017, more than 3 years back, the trial version. And the full version was launched in December 2017, about 2.5 years back. And by the end of 2019, it had the maximum sale. It sold, till now, it has sold more than 60 million games. And only on the mobile, there are 600 million downloads. 600 million downloads. That means somewhere close to 8% of the world have downloaded it. And among the children, it would be somewhere close to more than 1/3 of the children have, 1/3 or close to it, have downloaded this. And in this game mainly involves killing. The more you kill, the more points you get. And you have to save yourself. And if you're the last person alive, you're the winner. This game can be played solo by one person, can be played up to 100 people. You can play alone, you can play with your friends, you can play online, you can even play in groups of 2, 3 or 4. Then if your group survives, your group is the winner. It's an addiction. And many of these video games, including this PUBG, it takes a person away from Islam. There are haram activities. Besides that, if it is the time for Salah, when the prayer call is there for Azan, the child continues, okay, no problem. And he misses the Salah. And there may be chances that if he doesn't miss, he will pray at the last moment when the Salah is just going to get qaza. Just before the time for the next Salah, he prays the previous Salah. So all these things takes a person away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This addiction is not only causing problem to Muslim children, even to non-Muslim children. So much so that there are programs that have been created for de-addiction of PUBG. But the question mainly is talking about the latest version of PUBG was launched on the 28th of April 2020, about 1.5 months ago. And in this new version, a person has to glorify idols or literally do idol worship in order to get weapons or get equipment which will help them to kill other people. So this is going to the highest level of shirk. Murder is the second major sin in Islam. Shirk is the major sin in Islam. So of course it's totally haram. Besides the other aspect of murder, of music, of nudity, etc., idol worship is the major sin. It is promoting idol worship. So surely we should see to it that the parents are very strict. They should not only not give PUBG, should not give video games. There may be some games which may be halal. Entertainment per se, if it doesn't break the Sharia, it is permitted. There may be some video games which may not be having the elements, or there may be some Sharia compliant video games available in the market. But the best is avoid the general game unless you are sure that it is Sharia compliant. It doesn't break any of the principles of Islam. I request the Muslim parents not to be lazy and not to give them these games so that they can do their work without being disturbed. You are ruining the life of children as well as your life, because one of the ways for you to go to Jannah is a pious child praying for you. So this game PUBG surely is haram. Previously there are many fatwas that it's haram. Now after the new version where there is glorifying the idols, including idol worship, it's totally haram, and I request the Muslim parents and the Muslim children, stay away from it and don't play this game.
Peace, peaceful, peaceful, peace, peaceful, 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 peace.
I am a Hindu girl. I was in a relationship with a Muslim guy for 3 years. We were in a kind of live-in relationship. However, through him I started liking Islam. Now he has dumped me without any reason. Will Allah be angry with him? What punishment will he get? I cry every day thinking of him. We both are from India but studying abroad. Regarding this Hindu sister, that she says that she was in love with a Muslim boy and they were living in a live-in relationship. That means living together without getting married and staying together, and you know what happens. But after some time he left her and he dumped her, but she got close to Islam because of him, and now she cries thinking about him. Her question is that will Allah punish her, and what punishment will he get? Number one, live-in relationship in Islam is haram. It's not permitted at all. A girl and a boy who are nam-haram living together is totally haram in Islam. Only after marriage can a husband and wife live together, or brother sister fine, but an unknown man and woman, unless they marry, they cannot live together. Living in relationship just to experience that's a haram. So for that it is a major sin, because in living relationship there is illicit relationship, and it becomes the 10th major sin in Islam, adultery or fornication, and Allah will punish him for that. Then the question was that you cry and thinking about him. My suggestion to you, sister, is that I would look at it in a different way. In your question you said that because of that boy you came close to Islam. So according to me, if I was in your place and you started liking Islam, what I would have done? I would have actually thanked him, because he has brought you close to Islam. What he has done with you is wrong. I am not condoning him at all. If he left you, for what reason he left you, I don't know. But if he has promised you that he's going to be with you and he left you, it is haram. There may be various reasons. Unless we don't know the reasons why he left you, I may not be able to tell. But live-in relationship itself is haram, will be punished for that. But the good point in this, the silver lining in this is that because of him you came close to Islam. It is like someone giving you $1 million and then robbing $1,000 from that $1 million, and you're crying. Why did he rob that $1,000? You should not be pessimistic, you should be optimist. You should be happy. He gave you $1 million. He robbed $1,000 is wrong, but he's given you $1 million. From that $1 million, $999,000 is yours. He only robbed $1,000. And Allah says in the Quran in Surah Baqarah chapter number 2 verse number 216 that you may hate a thing which may be good for you, and you may love a thing which is not good for you. Allah knows and you don't know. So in this situation, if that boy has got you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, has got you closer to Islam, and you have learned tawheed about it, then it is worth it. If he has ditched you, he has done a mistake, Allah will punish him. What my suggestion to you, sister, is that if you have come close to Islam, accept Islam, study Islam, I'm sure you may be believing that there is no God but one God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You should not associate partners with that God. You should not do idol worship. And believe that Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is the last and final messenger. If you believe that there is no God but Allah and Prophet Muhammad is the messenger of Allah, you become a Muslim. That is worth more than all the wealth in the world. $1 million is a small example. Because on the day of judgment, the unbelievers, when they'll be put in hellfire, they will not complain to Allah that you are unjust. They will say, we do not mind giving you the full world and the wealth in it to save us. But God will say, Allah will say, it's too late. So what you have got is a treasure, sister. Love it, encash it, see to it that you practice Islam. Surely you will find some good Muslim boy who will like you, who will marry you, and inshallah your life may be better. Maybe later on you'll thank Allah that okay, it was infatuation that I liked the previous boy, but the new person who you have married will turn out to be a better husband, will be loving you more. So look at it in the positive sense, and maybe you start doing dua to the boy that left you. So look at it with an optimistic view, sister, not a pessimist view. And inshallah, maybe you start praying for him that what he has done is brought you closer to Islam. The next question. What is your opinion on the groups of Muslims who protest against the closing of mosques due to coronavirus? On the basis that would imply fearing other than Allah. The question posed is that what is my view regarding those Muslims who are protesting against the closure of the mosques in different parts of the world, and they're saying that you are fearing others more than Allah. As far as I am concerned, I am against those people who go to extreme. La taglu fi dinukum. Do not commit excesses in your deen. As far as the guidance given by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Prophet clearly said in Sahih Bukhari, in various hadiths which I discussed in my previous sessions, that when you know of an epidemic, of a plague in a particular land, don't go to that land. And if you're in that land, don't leave that land. Various hadith. The Prophet said, if you see a leper, run away from him as they have seen a lion. So all these hadith says that we should stay away from contagious diseases. But the Prophet said, tie your camel and trust in God. Now what we have situation, as far as the group of people who are against the closure of mosques, we'll discuss that later on. What if you see the different scenario world over of Muslim countries? The first Muslim country, I won't take its name, the first Muslim country that openly announced that they're going to shut the mosque because of coronavirus. In that country, there was not a single death due to coronavirus. There were few, hardly about 40, 50 positive cases of coronavirus, COVID-19. As a precaution, they closed the mosque in complete country. Many Muslim scholars objected, and within a few days, many Muslim countries all over the world followed it. I am not against closing the mosque to protect yourself from COVID-19 if it's a requirement. But don't go overboard. To give a statement that you should fear Allah and no one else is not correct, because the Prophet was the person who feared Allah much more than us. He said, run away from a leper as though you have seen a lion. He said, when you know of a plague, don't enter that city. If you're in that land, don't leave that land. These are precautions. We trust in God, but we have to tie a camel. But what we see, that some of the Muslim countries were over precautious. They're not tying the camel, they are strangulating the camel. In some countries, when there is not even a single case of coronavirus, COVID-19, they shut the mosque. This is nonsense. If there is a case where the cases are many and many people are infected, there are people who have died, and then you close the mosque after taking guidance from the medical experts and Islamic scholars. Only hearing the medical experts who don't know about the deen, who don't know about the religion, that how important it is to pray in the mosque, you cannot take the advice. Quran says, Fas'alu al-zikri in kuntum la ta'lamun. That if you don't know, ask the person who is knowledgeable. Surah Nahl chapter 16 verse 43. and Surah Anbiya chapter 21 verse number 7. So there should be a striking balance. So if the infection has spread quite a lot and you think that opening the mosque will really cause many more people to be infected, not just being over precautious. So there should be a striking balance between the two. So those people who are not bothered about prevention and telling that we should have faith in Allah, they are wrong. And those people who are over precautious and closing it beforehand, even they are wrong. So we should not commit excesses in your religion. Allah says in the Quran, La taglu fi dinukum. Do not commit excesses in your religion. Surah Nisa chapter 4 verse number 171. So my view is that even if you take precautions, as I mentioned in my earlier answer, take precautions. You can take a sajjada, you can take a musalla, a prayer mat, wear a mask, hand sanitization can be done, do wudu at home, spend the least time in the mosque, go to the restroom in your house, don't shake hands, read the sunnah salah before the farad salah at home, after the farad salah sunnah at home. Take all these precautions and continue till you think it is possible. When you think it is really required to close, and then you close, I've got no objection. But don't be over precautious. And when the thing subsides, also open it as soon as possible. If you take precaution and proper guidance, having a proper session with the health authorities and the Islamic scholars in consultation, and then taking the decision, it's correct. But just taking a decision to please the world or to please the other people, or to say, no, I will continue praying, this is not Islamic. So don't commit excesses, follow the middle path. I am a lady's tailor. Is it allowed to measure a woman before sewing her clothes? Because I am the only one who can do that job. Alasan Nagum from Gambia. Alasan Nagum from Gambia asked the question that he is a lady tailor. Can he measure the ladies before sewing her clothes? And he says he is the only one who can do the job. As far as being a lady's tailor per se, stitching the clothes of ladies is not haram, but the associate things may be haram. You cannot take the measurement of a lady because she is your na-mahram, unless, you know, if it's a mahram of yours, your wife or your sister or your mother is permitted. But taking measurement of a lady, you have to put the measuring tape and you have to touch her body. This is prohibited in Islam, it's not permitted. What my advice to you can be, you can have a lady assistant who does that, or the best is to have a mahram with you, like your daughter or your wife or your sister, who can take the measurement and dictate to you and you can write down. Stitching clothes per se is not haram, but if you measure a lady and you touch her, that is haram. If you think you are the best in doing this job, as you said, I'm the only one who can do the job and you may be a designer. So as long as you do not break any of the rules of the Sharia, you do it in the way that Sharia allows you. Like having a mahram lady with you who takes the measurement and then tells you, and then you stitch, and she takes the trial and she does basically the talking, and you don't involve in, you know, staring at a woman or, you know, touching her. So if you take precaution of this, then you can continue, or if you cannot take, my advice to you would be that you change the job. It is from Altaf Khan from Alwar, Rajasthan, India. Is it allowed to use pen or marker while reading the translation of the Quran? There is no harm in using the pen or the marker while reading the translation of the Quran, and I used to do it very often previously. And if you see my Quran that I read previously, every time I read the Quran I used to have a different coding. I used to use the fluorescent marker, I used to use the highlighters, and I had my own code that if it's a verse dealing with Christianity, I have to highlight with pink. If it's dealing with the non-Muslims, the other non-Muslims is to be blue. With the Hindus, it's to be orange. Scientific, a different color. Dealing with Muslims, green color. So my Quran was technicolor, like a rainbow color. And I finished the Quran, then I read second time. So then I realized that all the verses are important. Then literally almost all the verses are highlighted. So the previous, if you see the copies of the Quran which I used to read previously 20 years back, all were. Now I take a fresh Quran and I mark when required not always, because I've read the Quran so many times. So previously I has to take, so using a pen or a marker pen, there's no problem. Somebody say, oh, you're insulting the Quran. Not at all. You're reading the translation of the Quran and you want to highlight, you want to remember, there's no problem at all. Make use of it. As long as you utilize it more in your life, it will be better.